Circumstances, my Lord, we can neither produce their bodies pursuant to the writ of habeas corpus, nor can we formally prefer any charges against them.
Such a sad situation, huh? Now, just in case you're wondering, the beautiful lady who's doing her sign language, we are presenting together. Her name is Laura Omondi. Beautiful, thank you very much. Now, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, is now calling on agencies of administration of justice, the Office of the Inspector General, the Office of the DCI, the Office of the DPP, and the internal security organs to investigate thoroughly and come to the root cause of who is kidnapping and killing people. The Speaker says even though the police say that they are not involved, they should tell Kenyans which criminal elements are unlawfully arresting people and causing their disappearance. He says this cannot be allowed to continue.
To urge the agencies of administration of justice, the Office of the IG, the Office of DCI, the Office of DPP, and internal security organs to investigate thoroughly and come to the root cause of who is kidnapping people and later they are found dead. The police say they are not the ones doing it. We want them to investigate and tell Kenyans who are these criminal elements in our midst who are unlawfully arresting people, causing their disappearance, and eventually they are found dead. We shudder to get back to any situation yenye tulikuwa tunapata miili katika River Yala na kwingine. Serikali ya Kenya Kwanza iliahidi na inazingatia respect for human rights. So IG, DCI, DPP ambaye ni kijana yetu kutoka hapa Kakamega, lazima mufanye uchunguzi wa kina na kwa haraka iwezekanavyo, ili tukomeshe hii mambo ambayo inaleta jina mbaya kwa nchi yetu.
At the same time, members of the civil society have called for an end to abductions.
Serikali should do prior investigation na kupata ya kwamba maneno gani yanafanyika katika nchi yetu. Lakini yangu muhimu kabisa ni kwa wananchi wa Kenya ya kwamba katiba inakupa nguvu wewe kama wananchi wa Kenya kusimama na kutetea haki zako. Iweje leo mnanyamaza wakati watoto wanauliwa, wakati watoto wanakuwa abducted? Tunasema injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Na tunasema hatutanyamaza. Na inaonekana hii nchi ukiongea unakuwa wewe ni mhalifu. Kwa hivyo tutaongea, kama atatuua tuue sote. Na wananchi wa Kenya lazima msimame na msimama kidete. Wakati huu si wakati wa kunyamaza, because nimeona tu kwa muda mfupi tumenyamaza tukiconcentrate kwa maneno mengine, mili ya watoto yametokea, majenzi wengine ambao walikuwa wameabductiwa wameuliwa. So it's not time for us to be quiet.
Jambo ambalo limetutamausha leo na kutuvunja moyo ni kwamba hawa maafisa wa polisi wana intelligence ya kutosha. Wakati sisi tunapopanga maandamano wanafika pale kabla ya sisi kufika kwa idadi kubwa, lakini wakati inapofika kwamba Wakenya wamepotea, Wakenya wameuliwa, hawana habari. You know, they are playing ignorance. Ikifika masuala ya watu kupotea, masuala ya watu kuuliwa, sisi letu kubwa leo, we are calling upon the resignation, and if he cannot resign, we are calling upon the removal of the Inspector General, because katiba yetu kazi kubwa ile ambayo imempatia Inspector General wa police ni kulinda maisha yetu. Hana kazi nyingine kubwa zaidi ya hiyo. Ikiwa ameshindwa na kazi ya kulinda maisha yetu, he has no other job and he must go and he should go.
Tumepata habari za kuvunja moyo, wale vijana ambao walikuwa abducted kule sehemu za Mlolongo wamepatikana wamekufa. Hii ni jambo la huzuni, ni jambo la kusikitisha, na nchi ile hali tuko na rais, tuko na wizara ya interior, tuko na bunge, tuko na mataasisi kama vile IPOA, na mpaka waleo watu wanakufa kiolela, watu wanapoteza kiolela na tupati majibu. Kwa hivyo sisi tunapeana sala rambirambi kwa familia, na vile vile tunasimama kama na Wakenya wengine kulia, kuomboleza, na tunasema tutarudi nyuma. Kuandamana ni haki yetu, kuongea expression, freedom of expression ni haki yetu. Kwa hivyo Ruto na serikali yake tuwaambia, hatuombi msituue, msitumalize. Tunashuku pakubwa kuwa serikali imehusika.
Elsewhere, the Chief Justice Martha Koome has called on the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, or IEBC selection panel, to remain independent and resist external pressure when selecting new commissioners. Speaking at the Supreme Court in Nairobi during the swearing-in of 2 additional panel members today, Koome stated that public interest must guide the selection process. Koome also urged institutions and stakeholders involved in the selection process to ensure swift, transparent, and credible recruitment of new commissioners. She termed the prolonged delay in constituting the electoral body a threat to democracy.
The future of Kenya's democracy depends on the integrity of the men and women you are going to select to lead the IEBC as commissioners. I urge all the institutions and stakeholders involved in this process, Parliament, political actors, civil society, and even the general public, to ensure that the recruitment of the new IEBC commissioners is concluded and conducted with speed. There must also be utmost integrity and transparency, because the Kenyan people expect and deserve nothing less.
Well, that formation of that panel has been very important in the country because quite a number of timelines need to be met, constitutional timelines, by the way, if we're going to have an election come 2027, and it's prudent and it's good that that panel has been set up. And now we go to a sad story where 2 people died in a tragic road accident along the Machakos-Kitui Road in Machakos County. Kedengaini Assistant Chief Stephen Mutua Ndambuki reported that the duo died on the spot when a Probox vehicle carrying 5 passengers veered off the road and into Thwake River along the Machakos-Kitui Road Thursday night. He mentioned that there were 5 people in the vehicle during the accident, and the 3 injured passengers were taken to Machakos Level 5 Hospital. Eyewitnesses said the vehicle didn't hit the bridge's guardrail, but drove straight into the river on the side of the bridge. The bodies were recovered from the wreckage, which was still in the water, and moved to Machakos Level 5 Hospital mortuary for identification and autopsy. Ndambuki urged drivers against driving at night unless absolutely necessary, as the bridge has had a history of accidents.
Mimi nilipigiwa simu saa 11 kaambiwa kuna accident imefanyika hapa kwa bridge wake. Alafu wakati nilikuja nikapata ngari na watu 2 walikuwa wamekufa. 2 walikuwa wamepelekwa hospitali, mmoja alikimbia. Na ngari ilikuwa toka upande wa Mazi ikienda upande wa Machakos. Ilikuwa imepepa maembe na ajali ilikuwa mbaya sana. Iliingia hii daraja ya Thwake kutoka juu, iliprai mpaka chini kwa maji. Alafu kuna jamaa alikimbia, alitoka kwa gari na akakimbia. Wale wengine 2 waliaka hapo, 2 wako hospitali.
Kamida saa 9:30 ya usiku nimeweza kupigiwa simu na some of the village managers. Akanieleza kwamba kuna gari imepata ajali hapa mto Thwake, ama hii bridge kubwa ya Thwake. Nimeweza kutembea mpaka pale, nikahakikisha kwamba ajali kweli iko. Nikapata gari aina ya Probox ambayo ilikuwa ibebeba maembe kutoka upande wa Kitui ikielekea Machakos. Kwa hiyo gari kulikuwa na watu 5. 3 wamenusurika kifo, ambapo 2 wamekupa papo hapo. Nimeita polisi kutoka Machakos ambao wamekuja katika pale ajali ilikuwa imefanyika. Wamekuja wakachukua miili ya watu 2 wakapeleka mortuary pale Machakos Level 5, na wale 3 wamepelekwa Machakos level 5 kwa matibabu. Ningeweza kutoa tahadhari kwa madereva wale ambao wanatumia hii barabara ya Machakos Kitui Road ya kwamba katika hii barabara ama hii bridge ya Thwake si pazuri. Sasa ukifika Kaani ama ukifika Kithangaini kama unatoka Masi na kuhatarisha kwamba uweze kupunguza mwendo ndio ajali isije ikatokea.
As EBN Television would like to offer condolences to the families of those who lost their lives in that accident, and at the same time pray for the quick recovery of the ones who are still in hospital. Well, we go for a short break right now. When we come back, we'll look at some of the things that the county, Kakamega County, is doing to try and reduce maternal death. Let's take that short break. Globally, postpartum hemorrhage refers to a severe or excessive bleeding after childbirth. It is a life-threatening condition that, according to the World Health Organization, results in around 70,000 deaths every year. The Chief Executive Officer of Lala Community, Julius Mbeya, says the Alliance is deploying the use of a technology to control this particular case, which sees over 50% of maternal mortality in the country.
It's a privilege to be here in Kakamega today, and for the purpose of signing a memorandum of understanding between Luala Community Alliance and County Government of Kakamega to end PPH, or postpartum hemorrhage, which is the leading killer of women in Kenya and globally, or Africa for that matter. Our collaboration is about using the bundled approach to managing hemorrhage or bleeding after birth, and we hope that this collaboration can further reduce maternal deaths in Kakamega. We know that any delivery comes with complications, and part of those complications is postpartum hemorrhage. So we know that in partnering together and in managing hemorrhage, which accounts for more than 50% of maternal deaths, we can actually further reduce maternal deaths in Kakamega County.
And we want to say zero maternal mortality is not mission impossible. It's very possible if all of us take the measures that we are required to take in order to prevent. Now, part of this engagement will include them supporting our health facilities with the NASG, which is a cloth that is used to prevent postpartum hemorrhage. And of course, many other measures have come in through capacity building of our health workers, through creating a mentorship program, and of course, joint monitoring and evaluation team made up of both the county and the Luala community. And as a county, we will do our bit as pertains the MOU.
Right, it's very sad. I'm glad that some of these initiatives are being done to try and reduce. You know, childbirth is one of the most divine processes, if you've ever watched or witnessed one going through. So divine, you know, that a woman is giving birth to another life. So divine. So it's very unfortunate when we lose women when they're giving life. Anyway, the government now has expressed its commitment to ensure transparency and sound financial governance by engaging the citizenry in understanding public debt, its composition, and the need to borrow. Following the first ever public participation on the medium-term debt management strategy, the National Treasury says that the feedback received from the public is very key and will be taken into consideration when finalizing the draft 2025 MTDS. According to the Principal Secretary, National Treasury, Dr. Chris Kipto, as at the end of June 2024, the public debt stock was at 10 5.5 billion shillings, which is 65.7% of the GDP, comprising an external debt stock of 5.1 billion shillings.
So the comments from the public is very important, because whatever we borrow, we use for their development needs, and they should also be able to view, to see what this debt has done in their communities. Yeah, it is a medium-term policy, so it's not medium term, it's 1 to 3 years, and it's to finance the shortfall. You know, when we do the budget, we have the budget, then we have the collection from our revenues, but then the shortfall is to be financed externally and locally. So it's the document which will prescribes how we are going to borrow. Like in this strategy, we are going to borrow 25% external and 75% domestic.
We must agree, or we must understand that we borrow because there is a gap between revenue and expenditure. And why do we have a gap? Because our wants as a country, our development needs, social needs, mabarabara, hospitality, kila kitu, they are more than what we are getting as revenue. And our revenue mainly comes from taxation, and we cannot tax the public so much. So that is why we get the gap, and to finance that financing gap, that deficit, we must borrow. However, as a government and the national treasury, what we are keen on is borrowing at the lowest risk and with the lowest risk and the lowest cost, so that we do not burden the future generations, and we also don't be able to put our country into unnecessary debt.
Kwa hivyo ni zoezi zuri, lakini pia kabla tujaingia katika masala haya, tuangalie chanzo hasa ya madeni haya, na hayo ndio mambo muhimu, kwa sababu huwezi kumshauri mwananchi pekee katika masala ya kuangalia deni litakuwa namna gani. Hii nchi yetu ya Kenya ilipoanzishwa miaka 60 walikuwa na mpango mzuri wa sera. Nakumbuka kuna session paper number 1 number 10, ambapo paper hiyo imetumika na nchi kama Malaysia na Singapore. Leo Malaysia na Singapore hana mambo ya kupuzi kama haya, kuita watu public inspection, kwanza kuuliza utalipa mtada mna gani, wako mbele. Iliondolewa ile Republic of Kenya ikakuwa Republic of Malaysia na Singapore. Leo nchi hizi zimetumia dokumenti zetu sisi, imetumia mabongo yetu sisi kuboresha uchumi wao.
I think it's a good initiative from the government side, but as the youth, we believe that debt management is not a big problem as a country. Our big problem is corruption, because according to anti-corruption report, the latest one, around 608 billion is lost annually on corruption. So if we can curb corruption, then it's easier for us as a country to manage our debt. We better deal with corruption before we even think of how we can get more debt. So for us, we believe the starting point is management of corruption.
Well said. The biggest problem in our country is not necessarily debt, but corruption. If we could manage corruption, then a lot of money that is being wasted. You remember the former president or retired president had said that 2 billion shillings was being lost every day. That's a lot of money that can go a long way in bringing development in the country. Now, across our borders, we take a look at what's happening in the DRC, where Rwandan-backed M23 rebels captured Goma, which marks the most significant escalation in the conflict in the eastern DRC since the group last seized the provincial capital in 2012. The group will seek to consolidate control over Goma, nearby mineral-rich areas, and the surrounding supply lines. M23 captured Goma between the 26th and 28th of January after a series of offensive and counter-offensive against Congolese forces that began in December 2024. M23 launched concerted offensive in the Lubero and Masisi districts in December, Congolese forces eventually halted the rebel group's offensive in Lubero on the 24th of December, but M23 captured Masisi town early this month. M23 then took several key towns on Lake Kivu on the 21st of January after a failed Congolese army counter-offensive to secure key supply lines that connect to Goma and the Masisi district in mid-January. UN troops and soldiers from the Southern Africa Development Community, or SADC, initially supported the FRDC against M23 but retreated into a defensive posture after the multilateral forces suffered significant casualties, including the deaths of 17 South African soldiers.
We're fighting for the money. We are fighting for our life. Don't joke to M23, my bro. Don't joke. That is army for the people. Don't joke. Don't joke. Move, move, quickly, quickly. Jump, jump, quickly, quickly, quickly. Hey, hey, quickly, 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 quickly. Ba mercenary tunawabana, lakini sasa tunawaachia huru baende kwao, sababu ni watu wanakuja kupigana juu ya franga ya pesa na biko saa tu na bujinga tu, saa bujinga ya Tshisekedi alibakamata banajua kuua bakongomani, ndio maana tulibakamata tulibarudisha kwa hapo juu tunajua droit humanitaire international, tunabaacha tu baende biko wafungwa kivita, lakini tunawaacha baende na tumwambia kama bana subutu hata sehemu nyingine tutabashika. Sasa na wataona sasa bataona.
Si wananchi tunahitaji vita iishe kupitia mazungumzo, kwa sababu tunateseka sana. Mtusaidie sana nyinyi watu wa kupeleka habari. Hatutaendelea na kuishi katika hali kama na hii. Karibuni miaka mitatu hii vita iko. Sasa taifa inateseka, watu wanakufa, watu wanahangaika. Tunaomba watu waketi kwa meza moja, wafanye mazungumzo, vita iishe.
Unahitaji nini?
Tunahitaji amani. Tunahitaji amani. Amani ya kwanza. Kwanza kura. Amani ya mahitaji. Tunahitaji hapa Goma. Tunapenda barudishe kwanza kura, tuna moto. Igiza hatuitaki. Na mai prepare tuishe na connection. Wengine hatuhangaike kwanza.
Watu wa Goma tunahitaji ya kwanza iwe usalama. Wakati tutapata usalama tunahitaji pia na umeme kura. Après umeme tutahitaji nini? Connexion, tupate connexion. Tunateseka sana. Ya kwanza ikuwe usalama. Après ça tulale bien. Après kura tupate nini? Connexion, yani umeme.
Bakuwe calme. Kila mtu atoke kwake afanye biashara yake. Afanye biashara vizuri sana, kila activite irudie. Na dakika kidogo wakubwa ya chama batawaelezea maneno ya mai, kuhusu maji na kuhusu umeme. Wakubwa ya chama batawaelezea hiyo.
A very unfortunate situation in the DRC, which is a country I believe that has been raped by so many international forces and interests as they basically steal the resources, gold, diamonds, name them. All major countries have stations in the DRC as they harvest the resources of that country. So it is not to the interest of the multinationals to have peace in DRC. And unless Africa can do something about it, or the people of DRC can do something about it, then the situation will remain as is. Well, with that, we bring the curtains down on the show. Do have yourself a lovely night. God bless you.